Welcome to the new age, to the new age. Radioactive, radioactive.
And welcome back to this week's show of Radioactive. My name is Mr. Mike Matheson, your host every week. Radioactive is a show where we talk about organizations or ideas that have the potential to influence our community at large or are already doing so. With me today, I have members from Rotary International, specifically from Rotary District 6990. With me is the District Governor, Mr. Joe Roth, and Mrs. Anita Sandler. How you all doing today?
Doing great, Michael. Doing great.
Fine. Wonderful.
Would you like to give the audience a quick introduction of yourselves, some background you'd like them to know about you?
We'll let the ladies go first.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm married to William Sandler, who is Dean of Students Emeritus, and sure enough, of UM. And we have two daughters, one a graduate of UM, and 4 grandchildren. And on a professional side, I was a teacher at the senior high level for 21 years, went into grants administration, ran a project for the district, and then started my own grants company for training and writing grants. And I'm semi-retired now, but joined Rotary about 5 years ago, so I'm still learning. But that's it.
I've gotten to know Mrs. Sandler very well through this Rotary process, and I have to say, even though she says she's semi-retired, she's very, very, very active. To me, it doesn't even seem so. And Governor Roth, would you like to say a little bit more about your background?
Sure. I am now the district governor of District 6990. We change governors every single year on July 1st, so I'm relatively new to the job. I've been a Rotarian for 16 years. I belong to the Rotary Club of Weston in Broward County, and past president of my club, held many positions at the club level, many positions in district level, and very much enjoying my quote-unquote Rotary career. Married 38 years to Diana, who might be listening, I don't know. I have one son, 29 years old, David, and he is going to be married this year, so I'm very excited about that. So not only do I have the pressure of being a district governor this year, but also having my only son getting married, but we're looking forward to that quite a bit.
So along with governor, you're going to have father-in-law added to one of your titles.
Indeed, indeed, yes.
And I have to give a plug, since you mentioned the Club of Weston. I'm a Rotarian in the Club of Coconut Grove. So any Coconut Groveite Rotarians out there, you can call in with questions.
And that number is 786-309-8861. And thank you both for being with us today. So
our pleasure.
Real quick, what is Rotary International? For anybody who does not know.
Well, Rotary is an organization that, it's a community service organization. That's our principal purpose. Our main focus is community service and helping the community, not only locally, but throughout the world. And because of its name, Rotary International, it now stretches out to 200 countries throughout the world that have 1.2 million Rotarians.
Wow.
Yeah, 1.2 million Rotarians distributed among 34,000 clubs around the world. So very few places in the world will you go where you will not have a Rotary Club. The organization started in 1905, so we're well into our 109th year. And Paul Harris was our founder. He was an attorney in the Chicago area, and he and 3 other individuals started meeting on a weekly basis, and they were all from out of town. They were not Chicagoans. They were from out of town, so they were looking to start meeting people, like-minded people, and start doing business with like-minded people. And they rotated their meetings from the different offices, the 4 different offices. So that's how Rotary began in 1905, and that's how Rotary got its name. Rotary is because they rotated their meetings throughout the offices. So it has now grown to an international organization of high esteem and certainly a lot of focus throughout the world.
Awesome. So what got each of you into Rotary?
Well, interestingly enough, and my Rotarian friends are really going to actually probably have a little bit of a conniption with this, but before I became a Rotarian, I was a Kiwanian for 13 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's really our most, that's probably our biggest competitor in the community service field. Yes, I was a Kiwanian for 13 years, never really held any leadership positions there, but the club that I was in got smaller and smaller and then folded, and I moved from one area in Broward, from Sunrise in Broward, to the Weston area, and the club that I used to meet, Kiwanis-wise, was Thursdays at 7:30, and the Rotary Club of Weston actually meets on Thursdays at 7:30. So it was a natural flow from one club to the other, and that's where I got started. But the reason I did get started was when my son was young and he was in Boy Scouts. He and a fellow father of another Boy Scout, he was a Rotarian in another club. He introduced me to Rotary, and he said, "You should check it out. It's really really a great organization." The club, my club at the time, was kind of in its fledgling time. It was just started, and they're looking for new individuals. So I got there, and I enjoyed what I enjoyed what I saw. I got involved in leadership right away, and 16 years later, here I am in the top position as district governor of District 6990.
Awesome. Mrs. Sandler?
Actually, I'm a newbie. Just a 5-year Rotarian, but I got interested in Rotary. A good friend of mine is a Rotarian, and we talked about the kinds of things that Rotary is doing around the world, and he's with the Coconut Grove Rotary and the various projects that they have in Coconut Grove, and I was just very much interested in their focus on the children and families in Coconut Grove, and particularly the West Grove, and the projects that they were doing there. So my interest is very much in educating young folks, and particularly children at risk, and working with them. There are just so many issues revolving around children. So that's my focus, and that's how I got interested.
That's both of your stories are pretty awesome. So let's talk about the evolution of Rotary. From what you've highlighted before, Governor Roth, is that it started as a business organization just to network with a common cause of social good, but it's evolved past that to the point of being a public service organization, not just a networking organization. How did that commence?
Well, I think that the ability to understand the fact that yes, it did begin as a business organization, and as it grew and it evolved, it realized the numbers that were coming into the organization, the potential of these numbers as a larger group to be able to accomplish so much more that they could do as individuals, and so they began by doing service projects locally at the beginning, and then expanding outward and throughout the world. But they saw the ability to be able to help, and saw the ability to be able to make a difference in the world. In fact, the first actually, there's an argument about the very first Rotary service project. Some say it was a toilet, a public toilet, put in on a Chicago street. Another story tells it that it's a horse bought for a doctor, so that he can make house calls, because he didn't have a means of transportation.
Wow.
And that's how it started. The fact that they were able to come together and as a larger group be able to impact the community where they could not do it individually. So as the clubs grew in number, in numbers of members, and then as the clubs grew in numbers internationally, they went to other cities. It started in Chicago. They went to other cities, and then the first club outside the United States, which was in Winnipeg, Canada, and then the first Spanish-speaking club, which was in Havana, Cuba.
Nice.
Interestingly enough, I'm sure the audience in the Cuban community would be very interested in that, but a very, very strong club in Havana. So Rotary started small, but it grew quickly, and they realized that community service was the focus. And to be honest with you, it's all about relationships in Rotary, and I think the fact that we do have great relationships with each other as members. We live under somewhat of an oath, what we call the 4-way test, and I can recite that for you if you want me to, or we can leave it for later on. But we live under the 4-way test, which is an ethics test, and so we continue to do business with each other, even though it's not a business club per se. But Rotarians do a lot of business with each other. Lately, now, over the course, I would say over the last 5 to 10 years, the focus has returned to offering business to potential new members, realizing that young potential new members have to do business, and that's how their careers grow. So we are opening up that avenue more and more, so that business can be done properly in Rotary.
Awesome.
And I'd like to say just a few words about women and the membership. Yes, it used to be an all-boys club, a good old boys club, and various clubs were trying to admit women as early as 1950. That's way before your time, but it wasn't until 1987 that, after various lawsuits, it went to the Supreme Court, and
Oh, wow.
of course, the Supreme Court overturned earlier court decisions, and the first club to admit women was actually formed by women, and it was in California,
Awesome.
Marin County, California, and now women make up about 53%
That's awesome.
of Rotarians.
And I know there seems to definitely be a culture of making sure there's equal participation among genders. Just in the meeting that I attended yesterday with you guys, I remember one particular instance where one gentleman spoke and said, if he, and then everybody almost in a chorus said, or her. And it was pretty cool to hear all of that.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's very much very much
It's
the
all
case.
about education, right?
We're learning, Anita. We're learning.
So we have 4 minutes left before we have to go to a break. So let's talk about more into the district. Like how did Rotary be introduced to District 6990? How did 6990 be formed?
Okay, districting was formed so that the areas of Rotary, since they grew so quickly and they spread out so prevalently, they needed to be governed or at least administered, and so the districts were born and created by Rotary International, and as more and more Rotarians joined, borders were changed. District 6990, which actually used to be called, I believe, I'm not sure of this, so I know some of my predecessors as governors may be out there and saying, no, Joe, you're wrong. I think we were District 690, but now it's changed to 4 digits, so it's 6990. And I think we've been that way for the last at least probably 20 or 30 years. So we are, there are geographical areas that districts are broken into. Our particular district, 6990, on the northern edge is the Broward and Palm Beach County lines. The western edge would be the Everglades. We do not go past the Everglades. We go all the way down to Key West. So we are Monroe County, Miami-Dade, and Broward County. And we have the great distinction of being an international district in the fact that we have one of the islands of the Bahamas. That's Grand Bahama Island, where Freeport is. And we have 4 incredible clubs over there in Grand Bahama Island. So that is basically the essence of our district. We're 49 clubs throughout. And just shy of 2,000. We're about 1,900 members right now. So that is what our district is about. And as a district governor, and I'm one of 534.
Wow.
Yeah, there's 534 districts throughout the Rotary world. And as district governor, I have for this 1 year, I'm basically the CEO or the administrator to make this district run as smoothly as possible. And I have a great team to be able to help me do that.
Awesome. We did have, we only have 2 minutes before we go to a break, but we did have one request if you could cite the 4-way test.
Oh, okay. Anita, do you know that one, or do you want me to take? I'll take it. I'll take care of it.
Yeah, I do know it.
we do have a request. That's great. Okay, it's of the things that Rotarians think, say, or do. Number 1, is it the truth? Number 2, is it fair to all concerned? Number 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And it's proven to be that if you live not only your Rotary life, but your own personal and professional life by that 4-way test, you will have greater outcomes. So that's the 4-way test.
Awesome. Would you like to say any comments towards that, or?
No, but it is really a good philosophy to have and a good standard to live by.
Agreed. And with that, we're going to go to a quick break. If you have any questions, 786-309-8861. That's 786-309-8861. You can call or text in. Text is preferable so I can have them all pop up on the screen. And we'll be right back talking more about Rotary International after this break. Keep it locked to WVUM 90.5, The Voice.
WVUM. There is an ancient proverb that says, it's very difficult to find a black cat in a dark room, especially when there is no cat.
Coral Gables, Miami.
So my name is Taylor Wilson. You may ask me, well, how do you know what our energy future is? Well, I built a fusion reactor when I was 14 years old. I developed a detector that replaces the current detectors that Homeland Security has.
Coral Gables, Miami. WVUM. Welcome to the new age, to the new age. Radioactive, radioactive.
And welcome back to Radioactive here on WVUM 90.5 The Voice. We're discussing Rotary International and the impact it has not only across the world, but also in our local city of Miami. If you have any questions, and I see we have a couple, 786-309-8861. That's 786-309-8861. Please feel free to call or text in. So one of the questions we did receive during the break is, what are the main requirements in order to become a Rotary member of a Rotary Club?
Well, that's kind of an open-ended question, Michael. It used to be that we would be looking for the CEO or the lead of a company or the main decision maker of a company. We still obviously want those folks in Rotary. I think we've broadened our focus a little bit now. Because of our situation, and Rotary is beginning to get a little bit old in regards to its membership, and we realize that that generation, which has been so valuable to us, is going away. It's natural attrition. We're trying to drive a younger Rotarian, so the requirements are not as stringent as they used to be, but really somebody who's in some type of a profession or has either some kind of skill, or they're involved in government or education, somebody who's involved in the community. These are the Rotarians that we're looking, the potential Rotarians we're looking for to be in a Rotary Club. Now, it gives me an opportunity to mention also two areas: Interact, which is Rotary at high school level, and Rotaract, which is for younger individuals between the ages of 18 and 30. And the Rotaract is an organization, is a Rotary organization that exists not only in universities, the 18 to 22, 23-year-olds, but beyond that in our communities as a community Rotaract club. And these are individuals who perhaps may not be ready to join Rotary, but do want to give service to the community and want to get involved. And Rotaract fills that void, someone who's starting in a profession, if it's a 25-year-old or a 30-year-old and doesn't feel that comfortable getting involved in a Rotary Club, perhaps because of the age difference in some of the members, in a Rotaract Club they'll feel a lot more comfortable. But try us out. I don't think that we'll chase you away. We'll find a place for you, whether it's in Rotaract or Rotary. We're looking for great new energetic blood.
Definitely.
And it's a great way, particularly with the younger clubs like Interact and Rotaract. It's a great way to get your feet wet in leadership, and Rotarians are always glad to help young folks develop those leadership skills, which are so important in the world.
Definitely. And with that, let's start talking about leadership in the 6 areas of focus that Rotary International has. Can you first list what the 6 areas of focus are?
Sure. Peace and conflict prevention and resolution, disease prevention and treatment, water and sanitation, material and child health, basic education and literacy, and economic and community development. These are the issues that are included in Rotary International's and our local vision, and it also drives all of our grant work that we award out in the community and worldwide.
So any project that any Rotarian across the world is working on falls into one of these 6 categories?
No, not necessarily. These are projects that are driven by the Rotary Foundation, which is an arm of Rotary International. Rotary Foundation has certain guidelines on how the grants are going to be awarded and administered.
Okay.
So if a global grant, for example, a global grant will be something where the work will be done by partnered clubs, somewhere 2 partnered clubs around the world. These do have to fall under the 6 areas of focus. In regards to the work that Rotarians do locally, they do not. I mean, these are good guidelines, and we do use them for local projects as well. Okay. And if you really want to stretch it out a little bit, just about everything that we do falls into one of these areas.
Falls into the area. Yeah.
And I do want to mention now, I think it's a good opportunity as long as we're talking about the type of work that we do. Rotary International is now very well known throughout the world for its work against polio.
Yeah.
We have an initiative called End Polio Now, or we'll call it Polio Plus. It's an initiative that started close to 30 years ago, and 1985, to eradicate the world from only the second disease ever being eradicated by vaccine or whatever, smallpox being the first one, and polio being the second one, the one that we're working on now. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 375,000 cases a year were reported, polio cases reported, and up until recently, I think this year, our number is under 200. This is done because of the work that polio has done with its polio partners, but we have been the main driving force of trying to eradicate polio, and we will get it done. We are 99% there, and we now have an end plan, an end game plan to finish knocking polio out of the box by 2018. So we are steadfast on that route, and it's one of the things that most identifies us.
We still have 3 different countries that are plagued with this disease, and they're Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
And although India, which probably had the largest percentage of cases, we've just about eradicated it there. So, but those 3 countries are still remaining, and we're working with the Gates Foundation, with UNICEF, and
World Health Organization.
World Health Organization. We've partnered up with them. As a matter of fact, for every dollar raised, the Gates Foundation, by Rotarians, the Gates Foundation matches it with 2.
That's awesome.
So we're very pleased with that.
And if I remember from the presentation on Saturday correctly, it says because of the work Rotary has done in contribution with the Indian government and a lot of other benefactors, there hasn't been a polio case in India since January 2011?
That's correct, yeah. Polio was actually declared polio-free. It's certified. It's they call that certification. So as of a few months ago, polio has been eradicated from India. It no longer is an issue in India. We still have to be careful because polio is spread through the air, basically. So, polio travels. So, but in essence, we have not had one single case of polio in 3 years in India, and that is a huge accomplishment. So, that's the road to the end of polio, hopefully, the beginning of the end of polio.
That's amazing. We only have 5 more minutes before we have to go to another break. So is there any other projects you would like to plug right now, as far as ones that are going on in the district or the peace centers?
I think we can talk about the peace centers when we talk about the various scholarships and fellowships that are available through our foundation. But there are so many grants out there that have been awarded to clubs, to districts that are working in these 6 focus areas. There are vocational training teams that go out, for example, and might I say that it can be a district in the United States partnering with a district overseas in one of the impoverished areas there, and working on a particular focus, such as a district in Louisiana right now has partnered with Queensland, New Guinea, and the Solomon Islands, and they have exchanged their teams to focus on dealing with the oil spills. And we know in Louisiana what a disaster that was from the BP oil spill. So they've exchanged professionals, and they're getting the job done. So it's very important, this partnering with other countries to get these issues resolved.
Definitely, and that sounds like a bunch of amazing projects, and just especially seeing at the conference on Saturday, just going around and networking and talking to all the Rotarians, they each have individual issues that they're very passionate about, and I love the buy-in that everybody has towards it, even though I believe there was one gentleman who's very, very passionate about water sanitation in Israel, and working with between the Israelis and Pakistanis and actually making them work together on water sanitation. And Rotary International is funding that to a certain.
Yes, that's a program that's probably been going on for about 3 or 4 years, and the byproduct of that, it's not only is it a water reclamation project in which it's a rainwater reclamation for use in a dry area, in a desert area. The Palestinians and the Israelis are involved in this project together, and the interesting byproduct of this has been this sort of cooperation, which we don't hear a lot about in the Middle East. The Palestinians and the Israelis working together, but in this case, school children are setting the example of being able to work together and transform amazing activities together and getting work done and setting an example for their elders on how the work can be done together. But amazing things happen through Rotary, and sometimes I feel that if we put a Rotarian in every head of state seat and head of state in the world, I think we'd have a lot less conflict. But we're getting there. That's one of the things that we'll talk about, I guess, a little bit later about conflict resolution and peace and conflict resolution. But when you're talking about projects, every club, 34,000 of them, they all have a project. They all have they choose their own. The beautiful thing about Rotary is that clubs are autonomous. There are no guidelines as to what they could do. There are certain guidelines from Rotary International on how they conduct themselves, but in regards to their policy and what it is that they want to do in their local community, or if they want to stretch out into the international community, it's their choice, and their board of directors and their leadership makes that choice, and then they carry it forward. So that's the beautiful thing about Rotary clubs. So we're not governed by anything. We do all have that one focus on polio, but on a local level, we can choose to do, just like Anita was saying, they're working closely with the community in Coconut Grove. In Weston, we're very fortunate. We don't have that many needs, so we're able to take our needs outside of our own community and help those communities around us where the need is necessary. So it's a beautiful, beautiful way of extending ourselves, and the bottom line is it helps people, and that's what we're all about, helping people.
Definitely. And with that, we're going to have to go to a quick break. If you have any questions, remember to call in or text in at 786-309-8861. That's 786-309-8861. You're listening to Radioactive. We're discussing Rotary International and the projects it has both internationally and in our local community. And we'll be right back after this break. Keep it locked to WVUM 90.5, The Voice.
WVUM.
We don't just get a few more questions right on IQ tests. We get far more questions right on IQ tests than each succeeding generation back to the time that they were invented.
Coral Gables, Miami. WVUM.
So my name is Taylor Wilson. You may ask me, well, how do you know what our energy future is? Well, I built a fusion reactor when I was 14 years old. I developed a detector that replaces the current detectors that Homeland Security has.
Coral Gables, Miami. WVUM. Welcome to the new age, radioactive.
And welcome back to Radioactive here on WVUM 90.5, The Voice. We're discussing Rotary International and the projects they have across the globe, and now we're going to discuss a little bit more in our local area. If you have any questions, remember to text or call in 786-309-8861. That's 786-309-8861. We do have a question for the governor. How did you become a leader in Rotary? Did you think you would be governor when you joined? What's next after governor? So it's a 3-part question.
Interesting. Boy, that really brings me to the past, the present, and the future, I guess. Huh? No, I didn't even know what a governor was when I joined Rotary. I had no idea about the structure, about what the structure and leadership was in Rotary. Really, I just joined to help in our community at the beginning. And interestingly enough, one of my fellow Rotarians, and I'm going to mention his name. I don't know if he's listening, but he'll hear this somewhere. But a fellow by the name of Ken Ruiz, after 4 or 5 months or 6 months of me being in the club, he says, "You're going to be president of this club one day." And I said to him, "Oh, come on, Ken, you got to be kidding! I'm only a member 6 months. How do you know?" He says, "You're going to be president of the club that one day." And in fact, I became president of the club about 5 years after I joined.
Wow.
And I became president of my club, and after being president, that's really when I started really enjoying leadership. I learned a lot that year, and I became a much better leader after I was president, not during being president. And I sought positions in the district. That's the next level after club is the district. I did some work with membership. I did some work with with a program called the Group Study Exchange, which was an exchange program that went out of the country. And I started meeting people throughout the district and getting to know Rotarians and other clubs. And some of my fellow Rotarians, leaders of the district, started kind of pushing me along and prodding me, and said, a couple of them saying that I'd be a good district governor. And so one day I decided, well, my wife and I decided, because this is really a family decision, decided to put my name forward, and I was selected. And it's really been a great journey for me. This will be. I've actually been doing this in preparation for 2.5 years. This is the governor year, and it's really been a fantastic experience up until now. And this is the year where I'm supposed to have fun. All the work, all the preparation was 2.5 years. And so, no, I definitely did not. And after district governor, again, I don't have any visions of going any further, but it seems to me that in an organization like Rotary, you kind of get pulled along, and people look at you and see what you're doing, and some of them may think that you're doing a good job. So the next area beyond district, it's called zone, and there are 34 zones in the Rotary world, and who knows, maybe I definitely will not be Rotary International President. I can tell you. That is something I probably will not do.
Well, you seem to be doing a good job as governor, and you seem to have a lot of passion. I hear that is your nickname.
Well, that's it really is. Every year, the Rotary International President comes out with a theme, and this year's theme, Gary Huang from Taipei, Taiwan, his theme is Light Up Rotary, which could have tremendous amount of different meanings, and to me, it meant all about passion, and I've kind of used the word passion coming into this year, and it seems to have caught on, and now people are talking to me about passion, which is exactly what I want to hear. So
awesome.
I think that passion certainly has its place in Rotary. It has its place anything in life. I think in anything you do, you have to be passionate about it. But trying to bring the level of passion up in each and every Rotarian, I think, is my job this year. So
awesome.
And by the way, let me just as an informational item, we do have a Rotary website. We have a district website, which is the way we communicate with the community. If there's any interest in them finding out more about Rotary, or perhaps visiting a club and seeing what Rotary is about, www.rotarynow.org, and that is our website, and we have contact information on there. So please look it up and see. It's an ever-evolving website of our events, and we have a calendar of events and pictures. So check it out, and if you have any questions, please connect through that website with us.
Definitely.
I think we're also on Facebook, are we?
We are. We are, and if you want to look us up on Facebook, very active there. Just look for Rotary District 6990, the Facebook page, and come like us. We're over 1,100 likers right now, so we're really growing, and we want to get you involved as well.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. So to start narrowing the focus, we've spoken about projects across the world. We've spoken about how Rotary is an international organization, but how has that affected the Miami community? Do you want to speak about some of the project that your club is working on in the West Grove?
Yes, certainly. In Coconut Grove, well, we used to do a regatta to help the children learn, particularly the children in West Grove, learn how to sail. And that unfortunately went by the wayside after a few years, but we now are working on with Casa Valentina, which is an organization that works with foster children. They house foster children who have actually aged out of foster care, and the community recognized the fact that these children had no job skills, had some personal issues and so on that had to be dealt with. So Debbie Corge over there is doing a fantastic job with about 12 of these foster young men and young women. And they are between the ages of 18 and 23. I don't know if I said that, but they're doing a program there where they're helping them learn certain job skills, getting their GED, and learning how to do interviews for jobs, learning how to dress properly. So we're quite excited about Casa Valentina. And then, Joe mentioned the Kiwanis. We are working with the Kiwanis in Coral Gables on a fishing tournament, the first annual fishing tournament, and we are partnering with them. And September, we're going to be selling raffle tickets for, they tell me, what a very big prize. So we don't
Awesome.
know what it is yet, but it's a very big prize. And then Coconut Grove is also involved with Guatemala and the club down there. That is a very rural club working with newborns and diseases that are prevalent in that area, and pre and postnatal care for women. And they have we've helped them get an ambulance to transport the sick in this rural area, which is about 3 to 4 hours away from a hospital. So we help them purchase an ambulance so that they can transport the sick. And Key Biscayne, I know because I live there. Key Biscayne has a wonderful project called the Mosquitero Project that works with the Amazon basin, and they actually have purchased anti-malaria bed nets for the people down there in the Amazon, and they're doing a wonderful job with that. So we're doing quite a number of things in this area, and we would love to have some young folks come in, and we have some 40-year-olds, I guess, which is young. And not as young as college age, but to me that's young. But we would love to have some younger folks come in and join us. Coconut Grove meets at 12:30 on Thursdays at the Coconut Grove Sailing Club.
Awesome.
So we'd love to have you come and join us.
Definitely. So I'm really curious about these partnering Rotary clubs, the Amazon, Guatemala. You're two, like you said, the Key Biscayne one is the one who's partnering with the Amazon, correct?
Yes.
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 Uh-huh.
And then the Coconut Grove is partnering with Guatemala. These are two very local Rotary clubs partnering with two very different continental Rotary clubs as well. How did these interests and connections get grown?
Well, because we're in such a multicultural community, the contacts are obvious. You'll have members of clubs that their roots have been either in South America or in Central America or in the Caribbean, and they'll identify specific needs in those areas. And as I said before, there's probably a Rotary club there.
Yeah.
And so you're looking for a partner, and when you're looking to do a project overseas, you need a steady partner. You need somebody who you can rely on. And a Rotarian overseas has the same values, the same ideals as you do here in the States or here in South Florida. So we're looking for that ideal partnership, and that's how they develop. As a typical example, in my club, in the Weston Club, we have a large population of Venezuelans and Colombians, a lot of Central and South Americans. So we've partnered with both with clubs in Panama and El Salvador and Colombia, because our membership is made up of some of those folks, and they know not only do they identify the needs, but have the contacts overseas to be able to pull it off and make the process a lot smoother. So, and there's also another thing that that exists, and these are called project fairs. And project fairs are set up in various parts of the world where people will fly in and actually meet with other folks. It's almost a bringing together of people that are able to deliver a need and people who have a need, and that's where partnership will occur. So these project fairs is another great way for Rotarians to come together in one place, and it's almost like going through a supermarket of potential projects. So you can choose.
That's really cool. So we only have 2 minutes before we go to a break, but it sounds like to me that Rotary, just to bring it into a synopsis, is just a vehicle for people in the community to create change wherever they want to, whether it be in their local community, in the West Grove, or in Key Biscayne, or in Weston, or in Guatemala, Panama, the Bahamas, stuff like that. So it sounds pretty cool. For me, it's reminding me of just like even college organizations, but outside of campus. Would that be correct?
I think so, very much so. I mean, I think that a lot of the organizations that exist, I think, emulate Rotary. I think Rotary is a kind of a standard bearer in their model as far as organizations that do provide community service and bring the world together. What do you think, Anita?
And part of the Global Grants Initiative under the Rotary Foundation mandates that a club or a district in the United States partner with a district or a club overseas and identify the problems and then work on them. And as I said earlier, in these these 6 focus areas. So it's a wonderful opportunity to create sustainable change, and that's what we're all about. Sustainability, in other words, making sure that we're really getting the job done. That's why Polio Plus has been in existence for the number of years that it has been in existence. We're interested in sustainability.
All right. And with that, we're going to have to go to a quick break. If you have any questions for our final segment, 786-309-8861. That's 786-309-8861. We'll be talking about next segment how anybody in the community can get involved. We'll be right back after this break. Keep it locked to WVUM 90.5, The Voice.
Just imagine in a classroom,
WVUM.
a teacher writes on the blackboard and a blind student can see what's written and read using these non-visual interfaces.
Coral Gables, Miami. WVUM.
Best said by Marie Curie, who said that one never notices what has been done, but only what remains to be done.
Coral Gables, Miami. WVUM.
Welcome to the new age, to the new age. Radioactive, radioactive.
And welcome back to Radioactive here on WVUM 90.5, The Voice. We're discovering and discussing about Rotary International and the effect and change it has both internationally and in our district, or in our city of Greater Miami. So real quick, we've spoken about Rotaract before. Can you talk just really quickly about how people can get involved?
Sure. Well, there are certainly different levels, and we talked a little bit about Interact and Rotaract, but real quickly, on the Interact side, that's high school. Actually, it's now involving middle schools as well, but young students in middle school and high school, and I know that they're looking for service hours to be able to graduate. So Interact is a great vehicle for that, and just have them go to their advisors in school and ask if there is an Interact club in the school, and when it meets, and who they should talk to. If there isn't, they can express interest in starting one. So there's always going to be a Rotary club around that will be happy to sponsor, because these are sponsored by Rotary clubs. The same thing with Rotaract. As I said before, there's the university-based and the community-based, and these are also sponsored by Rotary clubs. So the involvement there is, you can do it through our website. You can get all that kind of information there. That would definitely be the clearinghouse to be able to go in that direction for Rotaractors. And as far as Rotarians are concerned, again, by going to our website, we can. There is an area there where you can. It's an inquiry kind of form, and you put in what your interest might be. We will get that email, and we will respond to it very, very quickly. Find out what your interest may be, where you are, where you live in our area, whether it's Broward, Miami-Dade, Monroe County, or the Bahamas, and we will direct you to the club that's most convenient for you. We do realize that clubs meet at different times of the day. We have clubs that start at 7:30 in the morning and are breakfast clubs. We have the majority of our clubs do meet for lunch, and we also have some evening clubs as well. So there's opportunities to get involved wherever it's most comfortable and most convenient for you regarding where you're working or where you're living. And where you can make a meeting the most logically for you. So that's just the website is the key, www.rotarynow.org, and you will not get lost. We'll get you to where you want to go.
Awesome. And we have one quick audience question. If one is not a Rotary Club member, however, they have come across an idea or a community that is in need, is there a way to approach a Rotary Club with that and is that something the Rotary Club invites?
Absolutely. We're always looking for needs in the community, specific needs. And also, I failed to mention that you don't have to be a Rotarian to be involved in service. You can contact whether it's an Interact club or whether it's a Rotary club or Rotary club, and you want to perform service in your community. You don't necessarily, although we'd like you to be a member, you don't necessarily have to be a member to enjoy service in the community and join us in our service projects. So absolutely, there's definitely ways that you can get involved, and you can certainly approach a Rotarian and introduce a potential new service project, something that we're not aware of where there might be a need in the community.
Definitely. And with that, let's move on to some of the other global grants that you spoke about earlier, like the Global Grant Scholarship. Can you do a quick intro to that? What is the Global Grant Scholarship?
The Global Grant Scholarship is a scholarship for entering graduate students and in a master's or a doctoral program overseas. It cannot be a student who is wanting to go to a university here in the United States. The whole notion is global. And with that, the student must focus in one of the 6 focus areas that I referenced earlier. And for example, I know our Global Grant Scholar, Michael Matheson, focused on disease prevention and treatment. And actually, he has a little bit of an overlap in economic and community development. So we were quite pleased to award him a $30,000 scholarship, which is quite substantial. He's going to be going to London, and I know, Michael, you would be glad to talk about that. But it is to provide tuition, whatever $30,000 US dollars covers. That's what we award, and it is actually it is to study in a university overseas, but we are partnering at the same time with a district or Rotary club over there. So the student will have a counselor, will have a tremendous support for living arrangements and all of the things that a college student needs when he or she moves into a college program. The student must be a District 6990, which is Broward, Miami-Dade, Monroe, and the Bahamas. Must be a resident of one of those counties, and cannot be a Rotarian and cannot be a relative of a Rotarian. However, we encourage a Rotarian sponsorship. So if you have a club in the area, a Rotary club in the area, and you go to them and say, I would really like to look into this scholarship, could you help me? They would be more than happy to. The student must have previous work experience in community service. Volunteer experience counts as well, but it has to be in one of those 6 focus areas. And he or she, I should say she or he, needs, when he or she plans for this scholarship and plans to submit an application, must also, along with that, identify certain coursework that is applicable or that aligns with one of the focus areas. And then, because I mentioned earlier we're interested in sustainability, Rotary does not look too kindly on a scholar who would take the scholarship monies, get the scholarship, and then not go into a career in community service. So we're also looking for that sustainability in the career plan as well. So with that, Michael, I think you should talk a little bit about your scholarship.
Certainly. And first off, again, as I said yesterday, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Well deserved, by the way.
Thank
well
you.
deserved.
Yes. Let me say that Michael, and there's a little kudo here, Michael is one of 70 worldwide who was awarded this scholarship. So we're quite proud in this district of Michael.
Yeah, and that's a surreal number every time I've heard that. It's just, it's amazing. But so just to give a little background history, anybody who's listened to the show knows I do the show. It's being on WVUM is also volunteer work. It's also community building, exposing issues, stuff like that to the community in order so it has a platform to be heard. I'm in AmeriCorps Vista. I've been doing that for 2 years, 2 months. My service is ending this week. According to the Corporation for National and Community Service, which is the government organization that tracks volunteer hours, I've done over 6,000 volunteer hours. The program, I proposed studying social determinants of health at the University of College London in London because it's something through my master's program down here that I've become very interested in because I've covered this in previous shows. It's amazing how some public health experts just by your zip code can determine your life expectancy or what diseases you may contract or what you may be exposed to. It's absolutely amazing, and I want to discover why and how. And a couple shows ago, I also discussed behavioral economics, and that's one of the focuses of my study in London. And to anybody out there who is interested in the scholarship, I would definitely say take a shot. It's just because it sounds pretty intimidating, the people who are in the ambassadorial scholarship, and that's one thing I was really intimidated by. I was like, oh my gosh, the people who got the ambassadorial scholarship before are stellar. How could I get this? And it's not. It doesn't hurt to put in an application, and you never know what will come out of it. So, again, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Well, we certainly would want to share our congratulations with you because we know the process of application and the interview process. It's quite a commitment on your part, and we definitely congratulate you. And we know you'll represent us well and come back really ready to take on your new life, which is fantastic. And this is something that Rotary is so proud of, in helping and building the youth of our world and making them the future leaders that you're going to be. Everything good about what we do is going to be on your shoulders. So no pressure, but yeah, make us proud, and be careful with the with the beer and the what do you call it, the pubs and all of that. So
the bangers and mash.
The bangers and mash, and but I'm sure you'll have a great experience, and we're looking forward to you coming back and sharing some of that with us.
Thank you. I'm both excited and nervous by it. But I do know there's one other scholarship we need to cover, and that's the Peace Centers.
Yes, there are several peace centers that students who are interested in the peace and conflict resolution and prevention area might be interested in. It's a peace fellowship that is also sponsored by the foundation, and for example, we have students here coming here from overseas and studying at our only Peace Center, and that is at Duke University in North Carolina. However, our students can go overseas. For example, the University of Bradford in the UK is one of our peace centers.
University of Queensland in Australia.
Queensland in Australia. Sweden is another one. And that is to get a master's degree. They will, it's a 2-year program, I believe, and the student will get a master's degree upon completion. There's also a 3-month program in Thailand, which is quite interesting and certainly would be appropriate for somebody who's not interested in getting a master's but wants to focus on peace and conflict resolution and prevention. But those are available online as well. The applications are available online, and that is the Peace Fellowship. And of course, they learn arbitration and mediation and conflict resolution skills. So it's a wonderful scholarship. So anybody interested in that can go online and get the application.
All right. With that, it is 7 o'clock. Do you guys have any final statements you want to leave with our audience members as far as Rotary, how to get involved, or any final thoughts?
Well, we are definitely looking for people to get involved. We are always looking for new Rotarians and new Rotaractors and new Interactors. So we're out here. We're definitely looking for you. And if you're interested in being a incredible part of the community, incredible part of our world and making this world a better place, Rotary is the place for you. And not only will you do that, but you'll make some great friends. And have some great relationships with people for lifelong experiences. So it's a healthy place to come to.
All over the world, as a matter of fact. But I would also like to add that the application for the Rotary Global Grant Scholarship, the one that Michael was just awarded, will be available September 1st on our website, rotarynow.org, and the application will be due on January 10th. So to me, and then that will begin the process, and we hope that you all will afford yourself that opportunity.
Definitely. And with that, I want to extend a big thank you again for coming out of your busy schedule all the way down from Weston and Coconut Grove to come spend an hour of your time with a couple college kids in a radio station.
Thank you, Michael.
It was a pleasure.
A pleasure.
And thank you for everybody out there who's listening and contributed to the show. Keep it locked to WVUM 90.5, The Voice. If you have any questions for Governor Roth or Mrs. Sandler, feel free to send them to our official email, radioactive@wvum.org. Or, and if it's something I can answer, I'd be happy to. If it's something that needs to be forwarded to them, I'd be happy to do that as well. Thank you for keeping it locked every Sunday to Radioactive from 6 to 7, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one, and have a happy week.
So knowledge is a big subject,
WVUM.
but I would say ignorance is a bigger one.
Coral Gables, Miami. WVUM.